Before I forget to mention it, just a big thanks to all of you that have used our website switchup.gg, using the code SwitchUp to save 10% on all of your eShop purchases or any online memberships, all that jazz. Thanks to that, we've been able to get another month of the discount, and also our winner from last week's sales video who wins a free game, GG. We appreciate the support. Hi everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp. I hope you've had a lovely week. My name's Mark Walker, and well, today we're going to look at some of the best sales that are on. I do always try and pick out a few hidden gems, maybe a kid's pick here and there, just to keep it interesting, and then obviously we've got the 2 games you should avoid at the end. Last week we were saying thanks for 250,000 subscribers, which is incredible. What are my favourite pickups? Well, let's find out.
We'll begin by looking at a game from the sponsor of today's video, Goblin Studio, and that's As Far As the Eye. This resource management sim sees you playing as the omnipotent being, the Wind, whose purpose is to guide a tribe known as the Pupils to the centre of the world in order to avoid an impending natural disaster. In gameplay terms, this means moving your village along to new locations. To do this, you'll have to overcome obstacles such as broken bridges by gathering resources in each new area in order to continually move on. Each area is known as a halt, and your pupils will need to be moved each turn in order to search, forage and harvest materials. These may be food in order to keep your pupils fed on each turn, they may be used to create buildings such as a quarry to mine for further materials, or you may even be able to build a market allowing you to trade with other tribes for necessary materials that are not available in your current halt. Pupils can improve their proficiency at certain jobs through the job system, and buildings can also be improved as well as the whole tribe through gaining knowledge. You must have met the necessary objectives and leave each halt in a set number of turns, otherwise the tribe will be submerged in the huge tidal wave that chases you across the world. As well as this though, other random dangers such as illness or lightning storms can cause you trouble along the way. There is a campaign to attempt, a quick game mode or a custom game mode where you can tinker with a host of variables and make the game as involved or as difficult as you wish. It has that low poly look with an autumnal colour palette and soothing soundtrack, which works well to keep things mellow even as the journey to survive plays out. There are no enemies to fight, but that doesn't mean the world is not a dangerous one, with the aforementioned natural disasters or starvation a real possibility if you do not plan out each turn properly. As Far As the Eye costs £18.89 or your regional equivalent, which will be on your screen now. There will be a link in the description of the video and the top pinned comment where you can purchase the game if you are interested.
Then we've got Oceanhorn 2 Knights of the Lost Realm, which is a Zelda clone. It's 25% off at the moment, taking it down to £18.74, and it has a 3.7GB download. We reviewed this when it first came out. I thought it was decent enough, but I would certainly have recommended a sales pickup, and you're looking at about 20 hours of gameplay. Some pretty decent boss fights are thrown in here. As far as Zelda clones go, this is, it's up there. And although it was previously on mobile, I remember my daughter playing through this one. If you're familiar with the first game, Oceanhorn, then you'll know they actually put a lot of effort into these, and they're really enjoyable. If you're interested as well, the first one is actually on sale. It's only £4, but it's a top-down view, slightly different. Yeah, this one, you're looking at, 15 to 25 hours max, and that's on sale until June the 2nd. If you're after one of the best action RPGs on Switch, then look no further than Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Why is it so good? Well, as we've said in many other episodes before, it's the combat. This has some of the best combat mechanics of any game. Now, this sale is only available in the US regions, I'm afraid. You can find the physical version in the UK a little bit cheaper, but the US is half price on the eShop, taking it down to $14.99 or your regional equivalent. It's a 12GB download, and you can choose between 3 different start classes known as vocations. You create your sidekicks, which are called pawns, and then those can go online and other people can use them. I don't know if anyone's ever watched Isha Gaming's channel. We get on really well with her, and she used our Glen pawn. Oh, it sounds so wrong. You know what I mean? Very, very good game. Very difficult. There's an expansion that's really tough, like this expansion island that's very difficult, but yeah, really enjoyable, well worth it. In total, you're looking at over 100 hours of gameplay, and that sale goes on until May the 16th. Then we got Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. The physical on this one at Shop 2 is 20% off here in the UK, and the US region have a sale on this one on the eShop, once again taking it down by 50% to $29.99, and it's the same for the physical over there at Amazon or GameStop. We've got a full review of this one on the channel. Glen loved it, and there's quite a few bits of DLC content that's also reduced if you're interested in expanding your game. In many ways it's a classic style RPG, like a turn-based RPG, except for you've got these huge monsters that you can ride on as well. You can capture different ones, train them up. It has that, I don't want to say Pokemon because it's overused, and I don't know, I prefer the way it's done here, to be honest, but it still has that compulsiveness of getting new ones and being able to train them. Later in the game you can use them to fly over the map as well, and it's decent length as well. Decent length. So what is wrong with me today? You're looking at 40 to 140 hours of gameplay. There's lots of things hidden in here. That one's on sale until May the 16th. I don't need any notes to talk about Monster Hunter Rise. You'd have to have been on a different planet, or certainly a different channel, not to know that Glen and I have spent probably over 1,000 hours playing the different Monster Hunter games at least. Rise, I think we're not actually that far into, maybe 150 hours in, and with the expansion just around the corner, they've obviously reduced the price on a lot of Monster Hunter games. Now, US regions, once again, 50% off. And UK, it's actually 43% off over at Amazon, which is an absolute bargain for the physical copy. It's funny because the estimated play times on this says between 20 hours and 130. I don't know how anyone on this earth could do 20 hours of this game. Like, that doesn't even scratch getting reasonable with one of the weapons. Every weapon has a completely different play style, and this one really plays with verticality. Each stage is completely opened up, and there are quite a few little hidden secrets and Easter eggs in each one. I really do love this game. Like, I just love it. It's amazing. Capcom have also put Monster Hunter. This isn't the Monster Hunter list today, by the way. It's just happened. It's just the way that the cookie has crumbled. And we've got Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, the OG Monster Hunter game on Switch, very similar to Monster Hunter 4. In fact, it basically is Monster Hunter 4, but with a few tweaks to some of the ways that you craft and things that I didn't actually like. I preferred the way it was done in 4. And I wouldn't pick up Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate if you've already got Monster Hunter Rise. But if you haven't, it's very cheap here. It's 70% off, taking it down to £13.49, and it has quite a similar gameplay loop, but also there are a lot of differences. The map's split up into separate areas that you'll have to load to move between. You have to paintball monsters before you can go and chase them, which I actually liked doing. Not necessarily paintballing, but I like some form of hunting. I really miss it on the new Monster Hunter, that you just know where they are all the time. I don't like that. I know people can say, you know, it improves the pacing and whatnot, but I am old school, and Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, although it wasn't perfect, at least it had something. You know, you had to do something to capture them. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night received a few patches since it launched. It was in a bit of a state, so there was a real input latency to all of your actions. There are some performance issues later in the game at the very end, and have those all been fixed? No, they haven't. The latency's improved massively. The performance issues at the very end and in some areas is still not great. Does it affect my overall enjoyment of it? No, not really. Honestly, it's for 60% off, taking it down to £13.99. It's absolutely a pickup for me. Now, the problem is it still on sale when you're watching this video? You've probably got half a day. So if you're considering this one, if you're after a Metroidvania old school style with the obvious Castlevania inspirations, then pick it up very quickly. Otherwise, it's not going to be on sale, and I apologise profusely. It's not the longest Metroidvania. You're looking at about 15 to 30 hours. Well, I say not the longest, that's actually pretty long, isn't it? And there is an online functionality where 2 of you can play. I'm not sure if that's co-op. You'll have to let me know down in the comments. This one's 7.2 gigs, and yeah, get it quickly, unless you're going to get the physical, and then that's usually on sale. So there you go. We really do have some lovely games on Switch, don't we? You know, I've just got the Steam Deck, and I'm making a video at the moment, a comparative review to kind of give people an idea of if it's worth it, really, for them if they're already a Switch owner. Spoiler warning, the answer is yes and no. But we've got games like Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, where the hardware behind it, you know, is relatively weak on the Switch, but actually they create something that's artistically quite beautiful. This was made by a very small team indeed. And it combines so many unusual elements, like tending to your rice paddy and carefully and painstakingly and a little bit mind-numbingly at times, placing every single seed down and then getting more points for the way you water it. It sounds ludicrous, doesn't it? You then go out on different runs, it's got a full storyline. It's just very, very cool. It really captures that Japanese mythology, and there are a number of different seasons. So if you're after something very different, but highly recommended, then look at this one. And we've got, again, a review. All the links to all the reviews will be down in the description. This has a a download of 6 gigs. You're looking at about 30 to 50 hours, and it's on sale until May the 11th. There's actually some of my favourite games in this list. Next up, we've got Trials of Mana. I refuse to say Mana anymore. I've always said Mana. Trials of Mana, which is half price, taking it down to £22.49, which is still premium for a sales video, but you're looking at a premium experience developed and published by Square Enix, completely built from the ground up based on the original games. Some really nice story transitions. You can pick from one of 3 characters and a side character, and that changes the story. It changes the backstory as well, which is optional, which is a nice little touch. And there's post-game content, so you're getting good value for money here. To finish it, you could do it in about 25 to 40 hours, and there's also some DLC, I believe, but that adds like more XP and some other bits and bobs. Yeah, worth picking up. That one's on sale until May the 11th, and again, you can get a physical with this one, usually cheaper on Amazon, so it's worth checking if you're a physical. Very unusual mix of the Hollow Knight formula in a 3D world, but also a puzzle platformer. Like there's these really tricky, not puzzle platformer, what are they called? You know, like Super Meat Boy. I forget the name of it. There's a certain type of name for that really difficult platformer. Let me know in the comments because I just completely skipped my memory. But it has those segments built into it that you can approach in your own time. And I think Graffiti Games, who published this, and Roby Studios are onto a bit of a winner. The world is enjoyable to explore. The controls are tight. You've got your double jumps, your dash in the air, your different upgrades, obviously all your collectibles. I think it's not comparable to Hollow Knight in terms of the sheer scale and quality, but this has something. You know, this is definitely something above average and in a similar vein for fans of those games. It's half price at the moment until May the 16th, and it's 5.1 gigs. Alright, my hidden gem for the week. And my hidden gems are basically, and I don't say this this is not like a brag, this is just a fact. The Switch, from doing reviews for like these last few years, I've got about 2,000 games on the Switch, which is ludicrous. And what I then do is I go on the eShop and I try and find something that I've never heard of. And then I buy it and I play it. And if I like it, I'll recommend it here. And if not, it might end up in the avoids. But Genesis Noir, I kind of knew I would enjoy it. I bought it. I did have a look to see if, what the Metacritic score was like, if it was any good. And it had a very good Metacritic score. So I was like, okay, this is a bit of me. It's an old school classic adventure, but then it's not. You can see from the visuals alone, it's a very quirky, almost noir style, but very stylistic as well, with some nice 3D lighting effects thrown into it. Like this one completely passed me by. I don't remember this coming out at all. But at the moment, it's half price, taking it down to £6.74. And I've had a blast. Like, it's been a real hoot. I won't spoil the narrative, but essentially the person you love most is under threat, and it's up to you to save them and potentially the galaxy. That was a bit of a spoiler, wasn't it? Oh man, I'm rubbish at this job. How did I get lucky enough to do this? Man, ay caramba. This one has a 4.7GB download, a nice, short, doable 5-hour adventure. You could play this one through today. Wow, if you've got no other responsibilities. And that sale goes on until May the 11th. Alright, you wonderful people. That means it's that time where we all band together. We stand together outside the offices of the Avoid Corporation, where Maxwell is now the CEO after having made such a disaster on his last effort, and produced 2 new games, which you should absolutely avoid because they are just plain bad, and their presence may well corrupt your SD card. And first up, if you have completely exhausted Bus Driver Simulator Town and Bus Driver Simulator Park, how about Bus Driver Simulator Countryside? This one's half price at the moment, and it promises driving through some luxurious landscapes that would be worth drawing by a famous painter. Huge fields and dense spruce forests are wonderful in different seasons, apparently. And guess what? Oh yeah, there are more than 50 bus stops to go to. Around, wait for it, 23 different routes. And if that wasn't thrilling enough for you, there are 5 gas stations to visit where you can fill up. I don't think we really need to say much more. That is a masterpiece. Game of the year. Go out and buy it. What's up next? And finally, holding on to your purses to make sure you don't involuntarily purchase this one on a whim. We've got Lawnmower Game, Next Generation. It describes itself as an open world lawn mowing adventure where you get to cut grass. But not just that, let me read it to you. Drive lawnmower in open world and cut every cuttable grass right in front of you. After cutting all grass, it will respawn. The gameplay loop is endless. Oh no! They're serious. They're legit. They're like, they've gone to the offices, haven't they? They've sat down in front of Maxwell and they've put down their pitch for a game. And he's like, lads, I need something that's endless. And they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't worry. We've got Lawnmower Game, the next generation. You mow the grass and it respawns as you mow. And he's like, oh my goodness, you've hit the nail on the head. You boys are hired. Unfortunately though, collectively, I think we have to fire them. What an absolute joke. Avoid this one like the plague. Although it's only £1.34. So there is that one guy that every week says, oh, I always go and buy the avoids. Well, mate, this one's for you. This one's for you. And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the channel. Thanks for those 250,000 people that watch some videos. Like, that's amazing. 60% of the views on the channel are from subscribers, which is such good news. Like, that's amazing. I've seen a lot of, you know, only 5% of people watch, 10% whatever, but 60% of our whole channel views is people that seem to come back regularly. So if you're one of those people, I'm going to give you a high five from sat here in my shed in England with my feet that are too hot and a fly that's really annoying me. High five. Thanks to our patrons who support us each and every month as well. If you want to join them, all the links are in the description, but do not feel obliged to. Do, however, leave a comment and we'll be giving away a free game each and every week, as we always do. What's left to say? Oh yeah, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!